Namaste, all masters. Welcome to another beautiful session of Mind to Matter wisdom sharing sessions. First of all, let us pay our gratitude to Saroja ma'am for this wonderful platform and also the author of Mind to Matter book, Dawson Church, who is sharing us this beautiful wisdom. Till now, we have completed three chapters, masters, and also have started last time. We have started the fourth chapter, and the fourth chapter. The first three chapters were how our brains shape the world. Then the second chapter we discussed was how energy builds matter. So in that we discussed about the electromagnetic fields, how each and everything, including us and planet Earth and everything, has an electromagnetic field around around the body or around itself. And then the third chapter, which our Purna sir has beautifully explained about, was how emotions organize our environment. And then last session, we started this chapter 4, which is how energy regulates DNA and cells of our bodies. And masters, if you remember, we started the discussion about how our body is replacing cells every second. Each second, around 8 lakhs, 10,000 cells are being replaced. The old cells are dying and the new cells are being regenerated or created like every second. And how we discussed, like if we are able to bath our cells with that positive energies like love and all those positive emotions or the energy, when we generate the positive emotions, those energy fields will be generated around us, and then our cells could be created in a very quality way, which helps us to heal. And we also discussed about the biomarkers, which are the growth hormones, telomeres, all those things. These are the markers which dictate or which indicate, we can say, which indicate our health, like how healthy are we. So now let us continue our today's discussion. Let us finish off our chapter 4. And also last session we also had the echo meditation, which I shared in the groups as well, masters. And that is the way how we can fill our environment around us with those positive energies of love. Instantly in that 20 minutes meditation, we would be able to fill ourselves in that positive energies. We can bath ourselves in that positive energies. That's a great way of implementing this concept. So I request you all to practice that echo meditation whenever you get time and share your feedback. So let me share my screen today. So let us thank you, Saroja ma'am, for providing this wonderful platform, and also Dawson Church, the author, for sharing this great wisdom with us in the form of this book. So, masters, our chapter 4, how energy regulates our DNA and cells of our body. So we all know there is energy around us, but how is it going to affect our body? Not only our body, we had deep dive inside ourselves, like our cells, to the smallest things inside us. We went in deep dive inside us, right, masters? So that was about that. Now today's session, let's start where we left last time. um, we were up to biomarkers. Now let's see, masters, what's more to discuss. So we can feel our energy fields with love and compassion, and then that's how we can bath the cells in those positive energies, right? That's what we experienced in echo meditation. And in the chapter 3, Purna sir for the emotions chapter beautifully explained about brain waves, if you remember. So today's session we also going to go through about the brain waves, but we'll be discussing how we can change our cellular environment, because in this chapter, master, we are up to our DNA and our cells. Like yesterday, if you remember in the groups, Suresh sir has shared that beautiful video like about the external world, from our body to the galaxies and Milky Ways, everything. And then again, inside us, our inner environment in the matter way is till our cell level, our DNAs, our cell level, and there is space everywhere. That's what that beautiful video inspired me a lot, masters. And I was also watching a Netflix show which says about universe. So everything is connected, like how our inner world and as well as all the galaxies, every stars, everything is connected. Like in that web series, they were explaining like how sun is distant far away, but can affect our brain cells, like how in the morning our brain cells gets activated and we become active, and how in the night our brain cells go, I mean, it's not like a deactivated, it goes for a off, like how we get tired and oh, we want to take sleep. So a distant star, which is sun, is able to dictate our brain cells, our neurons inside our brain. So that's how interconnected we are in a perfect way. Like everything is interconnected and in a perfect way, masters. So let us continue our discussion. So Puna sir, if you remember, has explained like these brain waves are in different frequencies. The frequencies generated by our own brain. Let's see what all those all masters. There are gamma waves, there is beta waves, alpha waves, then theta waves, and then we have delta waves. Give me 1 second, masters. Brain waves is our normal everyday story, masters. Like, say, first we discuss about meditation, okay? So we all do meditation every day. We sit for meditation, okay? So when we sit for meditation, we close our eyes, we lock our fingers, body, everything, and then everyone's mind state will be like, it might be for few seconds, it might be for few minutes or few hours, but the first state would be like, we would be in a thinking mode, like we will be having constantly thoughts, right? And then slowly, when we are observing our breath, we are cutting the thoughts, we're getting back to breath, and then suddenly we feel like we are into slight sleep state in the meditation itself. We have less thoughts, we have still have thoughts, but we are feeling relaxed, we are feeling more relaxed, we are feeling even more relaxed, right? So that's how we are transitioning from high beta state. High beta state is a conscious state where we are conscious of our thoughts, our environment, and everything. We are into the thoughts, like when we are into that monkey mind, when we are jumping from one thought to other, then we are in high beta state. So that's when our brain frequency is in 12 to 40 hertz. So in our meditation, when we sit at the starting, we'll be in high beta state. That's why in echo meditation, Dasan Church asks us to tap our body so that we move into that more subtle frequencies. So because in our daily life, we have so much stress, we have so many activities, we have so much to do, not only physically, but mentally, we have been thinking so much that we are sitting in meditation for high beta state. So then we play music, we have some guided instructions, right, masters? And then we have our technique where we go and focus on our breath, our heart. So that's where we are slightly moving from conscious to relaxed phase. As you can see on the screen, relaxed. That's when we move to alpha state. And then we slowly reduce our thoughts, and then we feel like light sleep, lie very much relaxed in our meditation, and we're still aware of our surroundings. There are some thoughts going on, but we feel relaxed. We are not irritated about it. So, and then we're almost like asleep, but we can observe our thoughts. I mean, there's thoughts are still coming, and then it might be like a dream as well. You don't know that you are even conscious, but still we are able to be aware of those things, what is happening, and you are able to hear the music. Light sleep. That's when we are in theta state, masters. Most of the healing happens in theta state. Like if you go to hypnotist and he does his technique. So when you go into that state, that's when your mind is almost empty and you're into very light sleep. You are suggestible, like whatever instructions he is giving, you will be able to perform as it is, because there is no mind to judge what is right and what is not anything. So that is the state where you will receive the healing. So that's the theta state, masters. And you can see there that 4 to 8 hertz frequency where you are in theta state. And then you don't remember what is happening even further in meditation. It's like time has freezed. Or you might feel like, oh, I didn't do meditation, I went into sleep, I'm not aware of anything. Oh no, I don't know what energy is coming to me, I'm not aware. See, in theta state at least you will be able to receive the energy. I mean, the energy will be received anyway, but you will be able to feel the energy in theta state. And in delta state, that's where you are not conscious of what is happening. You are into, so you can say deep sleep, deep meditation, doesn't matter. That's when you are into delta state. Your brain waves are in delta waves. Okay, masters. And then you suddenly, some masters have some visions. They are able to see some higher beings or anything like that. They are, or you don't need to have visions also, but you feel so inspired, like you feel so happy in your meditation. You feel as if you have conquered the world, you become one with everyone, you feel that oneness. All those things, masters, when you wake up from the meditation, that's where like you feel like so happy, joy, you feel the joy. So many masters have shared their experiences that they had that bliss state. So that's where, masters, you are into that gamma state. That's where you are having that healing. So all these states, like the healing step, the first step starts from alpha, masters, and then theta, and then delta, and then gamma. But gamma is very high frequency state. Unlike high beta, where we are into 12 to 40 hertz, this gamma is from 40 to 100 hertz, masters. And then you will be receiving those high energies, like the healing energies in gamma. So this is in the meditation. Even in sleep, okay, I haven't done meditation, I'm new to meditation, that's fine. Still our brain waves goes through this cycle. So when you go to sleep, so when you go to sleep, So initially you close your eyes, but you had so much to do in every day, like you close your eyes, but you have so many thoughts. You are aware of the surroundings. You're aware of the disturbances, everything. So you're not able to sleep yet. You're moving here and there, like left to right. So that's where you are still in high beta state, masters. So when you go to sleep just like that, without doing any tapping or meditation or anything like that, so you start your sleep with high beta. That is heightened perception, like you're aware of your surroundings so much that you haven't got into the sleep yet. Then you are having thoughts, but you're feeling that relaxation. So now you're not stressed anymore. You're feeling slightly relaxed. You are still having thoughts. That's when you are moving into alpha state, masters. From high beta to alpha, for some people it might take a lot of time. That's when all the stress is there. So if you keep light music, or if you do some meditation, some tapping before you sleep, it's easy to move into alpha, right? And then from alpha, if so, that's where you are relaxed, but you are having thoughts. And then you go into light sleep, masters. You will be having dreams, but your eyelids will be moving. Like you might be observing, you might observe in your sleep where your eyelids are moving. You're feeling asleep, but you are having dreams and dreams. You remember the dreams, right? When you come out of the sleep and say, okay, I had this dream and that dream, when how can you remember that? Because you're still conscious. That's where the theta brain waves are happening, masters. That the theta wave state is where you are able to remember your dreams, but still you're not completely asleep. And then there are like these few minutes, people say 7 minutes, 8 minutes deep sleep, where in that biomarkers, when we were discussing about biomarkers, we were discussing that the growth hormones are produced in that delta state, in the deep sleep, in that 7 to 8 minutes, like every day. If you put that smartwatch and sleep, it will show you when were you deep sleep, where you don't remember anything. And it can happen in even in meditation, masters. That's the benefit of meditation. Like in 1 hour, you don't need to do meditation for 7 8 hours, like how we sleep 7 8 hours. In that 7 8 hours, we are moving from high beta to alpha to theta to delta, and then coming back. So when we come back from sleep, again we are coming back with the same thing, masters. Like we are coming from delta to theta, where we are still able to have dreams. Like if you are sleeping in the early morning, instead of waking up, you can still have dreams where you are in theta state, and then you wake up and then feeling relaxed, like you had a night's sleep last night. You're not able to open your eyes yet, but you feel very relaxed and you're aware of your surroundings. You're feeling very relaxed. You're able to hear all the sounds and everything. That's the alpha step. And then you open your eyes, and your brain, your mind will start with all the problems you have, like what you need to do, all those things. And you are into high beta state, and your story starts. So this is the everyday story, masters, like how we are moving from one brain waves to another brain waves. This is the night or a meditation story. But even in our normal lives, sometimes when you are able to go into nature, when you are listening some music, you can switch into alpha state. From that beta state, you can easily switch into alpha state. Right, master? So we'll let us discuss, like, so now we know about brain waves and it's a part of our life. Then how they are impacting this cell generation, masters, which is happening every second. The cell regeneration, which is happening every second, like the new V after every second. Let's see how it is impacting, how the brain waves are impacting our matter, our body, our cells. Right, masters? Let's see. Let's go deep dive into each of the delta waves. So this is what I explained a few minutes ago about the delta, about the delta state. The frequency is 0 to 4 hertz. If you remember, masters, in the last session, we discussed about frequency windows. Frequency windows are some subtle frequencies where our cells would be able to receive that energy, where our cells are able to be suggestible, where our cells are able to be impacted in a whatever way it is. So delta waves are such frequencies where from 0 to 4 hertz, these are the frequencies which are generated by our own brain, friends. And this delta is with many beneficial changes in our living tissues, that is our cell levels. There have been many studies on the normal brains, and that pointed that some of the links between the healing and frequencies are in this range of 0 to 4 hertz. That is our delta waves. A group of sleep investigators, they hooked these men into these EEG monitors. So before they went to bed, they were hooked to these EEG monitors to measure that brain waves. If you remember in the previous sessions, like which Purna sir has taken, there is this scientist Max who has invented this EEG and how our brain waves are measured by connecting to that device, right, masters? EEG. So these EEG readings, so they put into that group of group of people in order to measure their brain waves. So in addition to their EEG readings, so what all the biomarkers we have, the growth hormone levels, those were measured every 10 minutes, like how they're going into sleep, like how the story I've explained, like everyday story of our sleep. So they are now measuring that studies, the people are measuring their brain waves, the group of people. The researchers found that when the delta waves were at its peak in the brain, so that's when the deep sleep happens, masters, if you remember. The secretion of growth hormone is not even like we are growing tall or we are like that, masters. We are not growing. It's even like we discussed last session that it will maintain our health. Like if we are looking energetic, young and energetic, like sometimes people ask us, oh, you're looking very young, you're feeling very looking like you're very energetic now, like what happened? Like, so maybe that depends on our growth hormone levels. Like if we are able to maintain those growth hormone levels, like if you are having a proper sleep, masters, like if you are able to sleep very well, like say for few months, then that will definitely show you in your body. So that's what they measured, masters, here. Like, so, and in a different, that group, there are different ages, right? From teenagers to old age people, or the different ages. An association was found between delta and growth hormone production. So the production of the delta waves and growth hormone was decreasing progressively. The older the persons were, they were declining. So the growth hormone is synthesized during the periods of delta wave sleep. So the more you have the delta wave sleep, the more extended periods you can maintain that delta wave state, the more healthy you are, like the more growth hormone is generated, and then the more healthy you are. Like there is another study where they took the slices of live tissue from the hippocampus, the part of hippocampus, by now you might be knowing, it is a part of our brain which governs memory and learning. So they found that this delta wave, which is low frequency from 0 to 4 hertz, that what you remember that. So at 0.16 hertz, there is an increased activity in the synaptic connections between neurons. So if you remember, masters, in the first session, Anu madam has explained about these synaptic connections like how neurons, when they fire and wire together, that's where you will be able to learn new things. So that's why our memory and learning depends upon our hippocampus. So in that delta wave frequency, that is 0.16 hertz, that's a window for us, right? So this suggests that memory and learning can be enhanced by delta activity. And how can we get that delta activity? We can get it by a deep sleep. If you're not able to get deep sleep, then we have our tool masters, friends. We have our pranayama, we have our breathing exercises, we have our meditation, we have our tapping, EFT tapping, we have our echo meditation and different types of meditation we have, right? So the delta is the wave that we can see in EEG readouts. We can see that delta where it is very slow wave. Like if we can see, if we go back to that, sorry. In that previous screen, in the first reading, that's the EEG reading we have on the right side. Delta is there is no oscillation at all. It's very slow. There is an oscillation, there is a frequency, but it's very slow. That slow frequency where people are having a sense of connection with the infinite masters. So when you don't remember yourself, that's when you are able to connect to that higher self. So typically, when the EEG recordings show this delta wave, so the persons are having typical mystical experiences where the local self, that is you think who you are, is merging with that infinite. Meditators with large amplitudes of delta feel connected with all the nature, to other human beings, and to that infinite. They feel that oneness. So they lose this sense of being an alone person. They feel completed. They feel full. They feel they don't need anything else. So that's what Albert Einstein told, that the delusion of separateness, like how we move into our normal lives, that is a delusion of oneness. When we move into this delta state, there is a delusion of separatedness. That means we are no longer separated. Instead, they experience oneness with all. Just remember, masters, not even in meditation, when you have that deep sleep, you all feel one. You don't feel like you're alone in the deep sleep. You don't feel like you're disconnected, right? So when you are having, sorry, so the brains are producing this delta waves. When brains are able to produce this delta waves, we will be able to bath our cells in that frequency window that has a potential to have that great physiological changes in our cells. And what are those changes? Like how we discussed, growing our telomeres. We discussed about that bright spots at the end of the chromosomes, if you remember in our previous slides. So growing them. So you'll be able to be more healthier if we have that telomeres at the end of our chromosomes. As we grow old, the telomeres reduce. So meditation helps us to grow those telomeres and also boosting our growth hormones. So then if we boost our growth hormones, what happens? It will regenerate our neurons, sweeping our brains clear of the plagues. Masters, just remember that these plagues, whatever plagues Dawson Church is mentioning here, they are causing this Alzheimer's disease. So that's the memory loss one. So we are not just having this subjective experience, like how we say, like we are having this bliss or all those beautiful experiences which you have in your meditation. We are able to have an objective. And what is the objective, masters? The energy, environment. And many people are able to feel that energy as well. It's not even objective anymore because we are able to feel it. So we are not able to see the energy, and maybe in their visions, they may be able to see the blue or whatever color energy it is. But see, that's whatever you're feeling, you're able to affect your cells in a positive way. So that's what about the story behind the delta waves. Now let's move to theta state. So theta state, if you remember, is a state where you're semi-sleep, almost you sleep, you're still having some dreams or thoughts. So in that state, the mind is no longer there. So this is second slowest brain waves. So if you remember, if you observe, if you go back, the theta wave here, there are oscillations, but they are slower, not very fast. So if you observe this, masters, how our mind operates, the frequencies are related to that. If you are thinking very less, if you are using your mind less, then you are into theta wave state, masters. So the studies have proven that a child till 7 years is always into this they have more of this theta to delta waves because they are not using their mind at all. So they are in that state, masters. So in the theta state, this is the second slowest brain wave, as we told, and the oscillations are from 4 to 8 hertz. And this is a frequency which is mostly observed in healers. So they have to be in that state and they have to take the healies into that state. So when the persons go into that energy healing session, like how we can see in the picture, so theta wave is the most common in their brains. So before starting the healing session, so before going to healing session, they might be into this monkey mind. So they might be having a high beta states. Usually it's high beta states or any other brainwave patterns. So that's an ordinary consciousness. When I say ordinary, it's not any less, but it is about how we are living our lives unconsciously. So, but once they place their hands on the near sick person and the healing encounter starts, they are converted into theta masters. That's when the healing starts. That's when the healing starts. When that healing starts? When you keep your mind aside, when you are no longer associated with your mind, when there are very less oscillations in your brain, that's when the healing happens. So, and these theta waves for a healing is not depending on what technique you are using, whether it is Kabbalistic, whether you are a Christian faith healer, or Reiki, or anything else, doesn't matter at all. Only your brain state matters. So in which state you are, there in that state, you are able to theta state, you are able to get the healing. So scientifically, everything is same, masters. That's why the authors, the great persons like Dawson Church and Joe Dispenza, they're moving beyond religion. Science is what which unites all the religions. Like you can do any meditation, that doesn't matter. You can follow any technique, that doesn't matter. What matters is your state, and that state they are able to measure through scientifically through the missions. So when we see like, okay, when we see, oh, he's having this technique, that person is having that technique, so we are seeing it as different, but the state they go into is same. And the healing that happens depends on that person's state. So, and there are many studies about this human cartilage cells. Human cartilage cells are the cells which are, if you in your knee, the cells around our knee, which help for the movement of our knee, our legs. So those are the cartilage cells, and the repair of those cells. See, if the cells are repaired, that indicates a wellness of that person. So anyone who had that sprained ankle or pulled ligament, okay, if you're having that, then that needs to be repaired, right? So the research group using pulsing electromagnets found that human cartilage cells are regenerated, and we know that our cells are regenerated all the time, maybe in a different range, like the time frequency might be different, but they will be regenerated. So, but it depends. I mean, it depends on so many factors, and we can't stay in that state, right? If you're having that ligament problem, how long you can stay? It will be regenerated ultimately, but we can't wait till it for an extended period of time. So it has to be repaired, right? So then the human cartilage cells are regenerated. So we know about the frequency windows at a frequency of 6.4 hertz. So right in the middle of theta band. So if you remember what is the theta band, masters, 4 to 8 hertz, and the middle of theta band. So if we are moving from high delta to high beta to alpha to theta, and in that middle of theta range is the frequency window to heal our cartilage cells. So that's what they found in their studies. This frequency also increases. Which frequency? The frequency of theta waves increases. The activity of antioxidants, the molecules that neutralize the free radicals regarded as the most common cause of aging. Like if you remember in our biomarkers slide, we discussed about this oxidative stress. This oxidative stress, like how two oxygen molecules are tied to each other, and if one of the oxygen molecule is like a radical, it is trying to fight with the other oxygen molecule. The aging is happening, masters. So in the theta wave frequency, the more we are into that theta wave frequency, the more antioxidants. That means the less oxidative stress. That means the less aging happens. Like we will be more anger if we are able to maintain that theta waves brain frequency. They found that their levels of feel good neurotransmitter, and what is the feel good hormones, if you remember, is serotonin, that rose, and the theta as well as alpha and delta waves increased. So, masters, a research group of Toho Medical School in Japan, that's where they have taken this study, and they have done this deep abdominal breathing. So when they did this deep abdominal breathing and they measured their EEG, they found more alpha, that's relaxing, more delta waves, and then their feel good hormones increased. So, masters, we have been practicing this deep breath all the time. How did you feel after the deep breaths? That's gives the indication, masters. Did you feel good? Then see that serotonin is released. Did you feel relaxed? Then your brain waves are changing. And if you feel deep sleep, then your delta waves are being generated. Your brain is releasing the delta waves. That's where we are healing, master. So it's very important for us to take the deep breaths, like how we are practicing every time. Like, okay, let's do deep breaths every hour. what happens if you take deep breaths every hour, friends? We are able to change our brain wave frequencies. And then if we change our brain wave frequencies, then we are able to heal ourselves. We are able to enter that frequency windows where our cells are affected in a positive way. They found that the molecules were mostly stimulated at 9 hertz, and that the effect was more twice as it was on untreated control molecules. So a pair of Russian scientists examined that the effect of frequencies between 5.5 to 60, 16.5 hertz, and they found that the molecules are stimulated at 9 hertz, masters. And let's see in our brain waves which one is 9 hertz, masters. Let's see. 9 hertz is our alpha wave. See, that's alpha wave. So 8 to 12 hertz is our alpha wave. So they found in their studies that the molecules are mostly highly stimulated, and the effect is great as twice affected in that frequency window, which is in alpha state. So it's always good to be in alpha state, masters. Alpha state is bridge, our bridge between alpha state is our bridge between the conscious mind, our thinking monkey mind, or our mind which is supporting us in our daily activities, to that subconscious or superconscious, or whatever we can call that infinite, or so many names we can give the God, so many names. That's the alpha bridge, masters. So if we are able to stay in that bridge, it is easy. So, right, masters? If you are able to stay in a bridge, it's easier for you to go to the this end or the other end. So we are staying in this middle path where you have having your daily activities, have so many things to do, you have a family, you have responsibilities, you have duties. So you are able to use your mind for that, and then you come into your alpha bridge, and then if you want you can go to the other end where you need your relaxation, you need your healing, right? So that's why the more the alpha bridge, that means the more you are able to maintain this alpha waves, the more healthy you are. So it oscillates between 8 to 13 hertz. It's right in the middle of frequency bands between beta and gamma, above theta and delta, right? It's a middle one. That's why it's called as bridge. And if you are able to stay in that, you could move to any other thing, right? So if you're in alpha, masters, for example, you can easily go into a nice meditative state. If you are in alpha, forget about meditation, even your sleep. If you go to your bed in an alpha state, easily you can switch to theta and delta, right? That process happens very easily. So alpha is that bridge. And legendary brain pioneer Maxwell Cade, that's what I was mentioning earlier. You learned about him, about his inventions, and this EEG recordings. Its electromagnetic recordings have come from that great person. So he observed and believed that alpha serves as a bridge between the upper, when you say upper frequencies, or this beta and gamma, and if you say lower frequencies, or this theta and delta. So beta, if you take beta reflects this activity of the conscious mind or monkey mind, where while we know theta and delta represents our subconscious and unconscious minds. Kate believed that the alpha bridge connects the conscious mind with both the intuitive wisdom of unconscious and non-local resource of the universal mind. Like, friends, how many of you had these questions? I'm getting a thought whether I'm getting it from my mind or whether it is an intuition. So that depends on your brain waves, masters. Whether you are in high beta, then your intuition is not going to work. You're getting thoughts by thoughts from your mind, then there is no place or space for the intuition to come inside, right? Like when you empty your mind, that's when you are able to enter into those states, subtler frequencies, and able to get those intuitions, right, masters? So a pioneer study which exposed DNA to various frequencies, it is found that the alpha frequency, which is 10 hertz, like you can see 8 to 12 hertz is alpha, significantly increased the synthesis of DNA molecules. See, our DNAs are affected in a positive way if you are able to stay in that alpha waves. Neurons in the brain's hippocampus also fire in the range 4 to 12 hertz. So the hippocampus, remember masters, the part of our brain which is responsible for our memory and learning, in that the neurons fire in this frequency of 4 to 12 hertz. That's where our theta and alpha comes in. And the higher frequencies at the synapses in learning and memory circuits are being enhanced in this alpha frequencies. Other regions of the brains also use 8 to 10 hertz band to communicate with their neurons, oscillating at those frequencies. So, masters, note this point. The neurons have to communicate with each other for working, for healing, for regeneration, everything, which works in a positive way. But if you are into this high beta, where is the place, where is the space, where is the frequency for our brain to work for the regeneration? So that's where these frequencies come, masters. So it's very important for us not to stay in that high beta all the time. A whole day we have been thinking. We have been doing our activities. We are not relaxing ourselves. And then where can we maintain our health? Our biomarkers, which are the growth hormones, the telomeres, all those things. Where is the time or space to maintain that? So we need to get into alpha bridge. Remember this, friends. Get into alpha bridge. And how do we get into alpha bridge? That also we'll see. That also we discuss, master. So alpha through the tunes, the brain. Alpha therefore tunes the brain to peak performance as well as facilitating gene expression and improving mood. The expansive emotional feelings reported by meditators after their regular sessions isn't it are just not a subjective assessments. They are in fact objective biological facts that can be measured in DNA, brain waves, and neurotransmitters. See, masters, the experiences you are having in meditation are not just mere experiences. There is a lot going inside of you when you are having that experiences. So, in another study, Zen meditators received the great benefits from cultivating an alpha state. Masters, if you going to hook those meditators to these EEG missions, they be having this alpha state throughout their day, and how they are able to maintain, even if they are going to send, they're put into these malls or any other public places, they are still able to maintain that alpha state. Means that their brain is always in that relaxation state, then that is going to benefit a lot. So when the brain wave, which is alpha, increased in a group of exercises, they gained a boost in serotonin, that feel good transmitter, and their emotional state was elevated. This was in a study in 2010, masters. See, if you note this, even if you do some exercises, that's when we are moving into alpha state, right? A truly integrated person is able to generate, like the Zen meditators or the monks, They are able to generate large amplitudes of alpha. They are able to stay in that alpha for a long time, masters. So that was our alpha bridge. And our aim as a meditator is to stay in that alpha bridge all the time. So now let's move to our ordinary consciousness or our normal living, which is beta waves from hertz 13 to 25 hertz. There are two types of beta, that is high beta when we are into this thinking mind. So from 13 to 15 hertz is low beta, where we are doing some regular activities like normal housekeeping functions, which we are not using much brain there, but we are stressed a bit to do those things, right? Low beta, where we need to complete our daily activities. But then there can be an argument with your family member, friends, remembering a childhood trauma, thinking negative thoughts, hearing scary sounds, arguing with your friend, or an impossible deadline to be met. All these things, your brain is into high beta, masters. It is a signature wave. Okay, as you can see, it's a signature wave of stress. When you are into that high beta, that means you are into that stress. It is associated with the rise in cortisol and adrenaline and a large number of adverse reactions. And these are not a positive reactions, masters. These are not the positive windows that we discussed till now. These are those adverse negative reactions. And that is the fear and anxiety. When you are in fear and anxiety all the time, you are into high beta all the time. And what happens when you are in high beta? Then it inhibits many beneficial cellular functions. Like every second is 8 lakhs 10,000 cells are being regenerated. And if you are staying in that high beta all the time, your body will age much faster when you are bathing your cells in that high beta waves. So whenever we get time, we have to move into our alpha bridge. That's the story. So now this last one is the gamma waves, which is the most high frequency gamma wave. Like as you can see here, this very fast oscillation, and most recently discovered, it is associated with the integration of information from all the brain regions. You're perfectly coherent, perfect synchronization. And when does it happen, masters? When you are into that deep meditation, when you are into that inspiring activity, where you get that intuition, like say singing or any other thing, where you receive information from that non-local mind. When you are emptied your mind, masters, you are getting that information from that non-local mind. So that satisfaction of doing a difficult activity task perfectly, you might be wondering, all your friends might be wondering, your family might be wondering, how did you do that? That's where the magic happens, masters. That's the magic. That's the coherence. That's the gamma. Like, think about the synchronized brain function of a child at a play, an artist painting. All the artists, they go into this gamma state to produce that extraordinary results, masters. Be a musician or any other person, a singer or a painter. That's where they are going to get that creativity. That's gamma. That's where the beta lives. And at 25 hertz, the beta lives and they are able to enter into that gamma waves, right? A team led by Lee, a person, tested that the effect of gamma waves on this Alzheimer's disease, and they found that as they able to induce that gamma, the more synchronization between the neurons. When the neurons able to synchronize, communicate with each other, masters, there is a lot of synchronization. Like say in a family, masters, just take an example. If everyone are synchronized, harmonized, or at one frequency, then there is a lot of positivity inside the house. And in our brain neurons, if the neurons are able to communicate with each other, they are synchronized with each other, then the more they fire together, there are more they vibe together, and then there is a more health, right? So that way, when you are into that gamma waves, that's the perfect situation to be in our brain. So there is many beneficial changes are happening when you are in that gamma waves. A frequency of 75 hertz is epigenetic, triggering the genes that produce anti-inflammatory proteins in the body. That's what found in a study of 2013. The frequency of 60 hertz regulates the expression of stress genes, those that code for the stress hormones like cortisol. And then when our bone cells are exposed to a beta frequency of 25 hertz, it inhibited their growth. It was in this study, masters. See, if you are in the beta, there is no growth, masters. You have to move out of beta, whether gamma or alpha, theta, delta, for your growth to be supported. Gamma frequencies of 75 hertz, however, increased their growth. A peak was reached at 125 hertz, with that frequency producing 3 times the growth rate of beta frequency in a study of 2000. The growth rate was 3 times more than what beta was in that study. So the previous studies also are suggestive. Many of them, the frequencies produced by external devices as pulsed electromagnetic field. Muscles, they are using these devices to generate those brain waves. It's not happening progressively like naturally. They are able to induce those brain waves and measure the benefits. The big picture, what are we going to learn from all this discussion today, masters? That our bodies are sensitive to the frequencies generated by not the external devices, masters, our own brains, from the slowest waves of delta to fastest waves of gamma. And that by understanding these links, we can use our brain waves to heal ourselves. We can bath ourselves in those frequency windows so that we are able to be healed. Right, masters? We have got that understanding today. So, masters, now that we know that number and variety of cell changes associated with brain waves, right? Now we got that knowledge for the knowledge about the brain waves. Now we will be able to produce massive shifts in our body, movement by movement. How can we use this process in the direction of optimal health? Study shows that many spiritual practices change brain waves, masters. That's what I was mentioning about. You can use any meditation. You can use the echo meditation, any meditation which changes your brain waves, and we discuss that how we are able to change that brain waves. It might be for some, it might be in few seconds they will be able to move. Some might need some time to move. So that depends on your practice, your state, and how you are getting into that process. If you are moving outside, if you are into that high beta, to move to alpha to theta might take time. But if you enter meditation in an alpha state, in an alpha bridge, it's instantaneous to move into those states. So that's why, masters, in our groups, we are promoting mindfulness, shower meditation, walk meditation, eat meditation. It's all mindfulness we are practicing for the beneficial changes of brain waves. So, and analysis including 56 papers in a study and 1715% subjects, which they have analyzed, found increased alpha and theta waves when they were following mindfulness masters. In our group, we are doing these mindful practices, and if we are studied as well, we will be able to generate more and alpha theta waves when we are following those mindfulness practices. It's very important, masters, to go into nature, take deep breaths every hour, to have that mindful shower, mindful lunch, right? So another research shows that the heart, heart coherence produces alpha and gamma even when it calms the anxiety bands of beta. Masters, in our echo meditation, where we are able to connect to our heart, we will be able to generate more of the alpha and gamma waves, masters. So, masters, there is an infinite number of possible brainwave states. If I say we can't be just in alpha state, masters, it's like an buffet of the food. So, in that buffet, you might be having, if you are taking more beta and less alpha, less theta, and less delta, that's how our plate will be, then that's how our body will be, masters. So we have to change that equations. That equations will be changed when we are able to practice that mindfulness, that pranayama, that different spiritual practices. So the link between high and frequency bands, that is delta and gamma, is what we have seen in these healers and psychs, right, masters? So echo meditation, if you follow, there's so much of benefits. All the beneficial brain waves are available to us in our hands, masters. And how does it happen? Through our mindfulness and meditation practices, right? So if you are near, if you are in your normal life, like everyone has this ordinary life, then if your high beta, if your beta is 20, alpha is 25, theta is 30, and delta is 100, okay, that's how now you having your life, you will be able to change that equation by this practices. And then if you are able to decrease that alpha from 20 to 5, if you are able to decrease the beta waves, means your alpha will increase, your theta will increase, your delta will increase, and then you are able to move into those healing frequencies, masters, alpha, theta, delta, gamma, whatever it is. So your ideal brain wave might be more like this. Beta is 5, alpha is 60, theta is 50, delta is 200. So masters, you can see here in the screen here, where when a person was first started that session and they are able to measure her brain waves, they are in that frequency. And then once after the session, her alpha, delta, theta increased. And that's where she was into that higher states. And once she was asked about her experiences, she felt that oneness, that um, completeness, or that magical mystical experiences happens in that state, masters. So she will be having that big alpha bridge, as you can see in the screens, but between that conscious and subconscious minds. So when you are in touch with that healing frequency of theta and transcendent frequency of delta, you will be able to heal yourselves, masters. So then, masters, we have discussed about EFT tapping. We know about our points, like in our echo meditation also, we do our karate chop points, our eyebrow points here, under our eye, under our nose, under our chin, then our collarbone points, our under our arms points, all these points. If you are able to tap, it was proven that, masters, that in studies, it was proven that regulation of 72 genes, masters. That's a great thing. So if you are able to practice this tapping, it will produce dramatic gene shifts. Beth Maharaj, he's an psychotherapist. He's the friend of our Dawson Church. He designed a groundbreaking study. She discovered a new type of gene test. While the earlier clinical trials required veterans to produce blood samples at lab, the new test was saliva based. So it's easy to collect the saliva after the EFT tapping. So you don't need to take the blood and send to the lab. Then that will be delayed results. So the saliva, they can, after EFT tapping, they took the saliva from the participants and they had this test. They had to spit in a cup and measure expression in 100 over the thousands of genes. Beth gave 4 subjects a hour-long placebo session, and then followed by a week later by an hour-long EFT therapy session. Compared saliva samples before and after. She found that EFT is producing that regulation of 72 genes, masters. The functions of these genes proved to be fascinating. That was suppression of cancer tumors, protection against the sun's ultraviolet radiation, type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, immunity from infections, antiviral, oxidative stress. See, masters, so many benefits from that sessions, the meditation, the placebo meditation, and also the EFT tapping. So our another friend and our author, Dr. Joe Dispenza, decided to test participants at one of his advanced workshops, and he obtained saliva samples from 30 people. And then when the results came back from the lab, he found that 8 genes were significantly upgraded, upregulated during the 4 days of meditation. So with the research team, Dawson Church and Joe Dispenza, they had examined the data from 100 scans, EEG scans. They found that after 4 days, people entered into meditative state 18% faster, and the ratio of anxiety producing beta to integrative delta improved by 62%, masters. Remember, I was talking about this story of how we going into meditative state might be different for different persons. That depends on what state we are going to sit in that meditation. We should be able to maintain that state to go into that meditative state. Then it will be faster. So after 4 days practice, they measured the time, how they entered into that alpha, theta, beta, and it increased by 62%, master. So the regular practice is so important, right? As people brains were being regulated by Joe Dispenza's powerful meditation practices, their genes, they measured through saliva, and 8 genes were upregulated, masters. So remember, for the people who are recovered from the cancer, they will be given these hormones or genes, some tablets, right? So they to maintain that. So then in meditation also we will be able to regulate the genes, right, master? So beneficial for us. So 3 of these 8 genes help our bodies identify and eliminate cancerous cells, suppressing the growth of cancer tumors. See, masters, the names also are given, which we don't need to discuss today. But so this is the benefits we are having when we are able to maintain those brain wave states. And how are we maintaining that? Through our practices, our mindfulness, our EFT tapping, our meditation practices, our deep breathing practices, and spending time in nature, listening to some soothing music, getting in touch with water, earth. So all the nature connection, everything helps us to maintain those brainwave states and in turn affect our cell regeneration in a positive way and heal ourselves quickly, masters. So your inner state is your genetic reality, masters. So what we discussed today, right? We often say that I have these genes. Oh, it's my genetic problem. I can't change. No, masters. That doesn't mean you're destined to that. You will be able to change. It is in your hands. Like when you change your inner state, you will be able to change your reality. That is your genetic reality as well. So people get so worried about their result of gene test. Yet you see from the studies, many have shifted their genes, right? By tapping and meditation. It's not the genes you have determine your destiny, masters. If you give your destiny to genes, genes will decide, ultimately decide your destiny. But if you take your destiny in your hands, then you can decide, your inner state can decide your destiny, right? So subject your body, if you subject your body to high levels of stress over longer periods of time, then what do? You will upregulate the expression of cancer genes. But if you flip that choice, if you do that opposite choice, tap and meditate daily, you will be able to reduce your stress. If you do those mindful practices along, then you will be able to reduce your stress, your gene expression will shift, your brain waves will shift, change, like how we discuss about the recipe of our brain waves. Most of the day, in which brain waves you are in, that will decide your health, master. That will decide your destiny, right? When those 8 lakhs 10,000 cells that are being formed every second are birthed in the energy field of love and kindness, the gene expression will be upregulated by that energy field, masters. So mind to matter is not just an the subject, a concept, an abstract metaphysical proposition. It's a physical fact, masters. A material can change. Your bodies can change, the bodies with which you are living in, thought by thought, moment by moment. Our minds are creating the energy fields in which our cells are being reproduced. See, masters, there is a great connection from our thought to our cell regeneration. Positive thoughts produce our cells with an energy field where we can nurture ourselves, where we can thrive, where we can grow. Thoughts that nurture our cells as they regenerate become thriving molecular matter. So energy is epigenetic, regulating the process of life and healing. When we elevate our consciousness to infinite, generating the energy receipt of our brains waves, our cells take form with an inspiring, energetic template. So the template we are providing, masters, with our practices. And then our cells will grow. Like, say, a farmer will provide a template of soil with all that rich ingredients. So he will plow it, he will provide all the things for the plants to grow. So our cells are growing every second. We need to provide that template, that environment, that energy fields to our cells to regenerate. Yeah, that's the end of our chapter 2, masters. Thank you for being with me. I'm giving your energies for this session. So the takeaway for this is our mindfulness practices, our breathing practices, our pranayama, our meditation. Now, masters, your meditation will not be as previous. Now you will be able to sense that brain waves. Oh, I'm in high beta, I'm in low beta, I'm in alpha, theta, delta, or gamma states, and how you can intentionally move into those states. So now you're not that old person anymore. Now you are this new person with this enhanced wisdom. So, masters, you can practice echo meditation, you can practice mindfulness, you can practice uh, building relationship with others, that positive relations, like you can write a love letter to your loved one, so that increases the energy field, love energy fields around you and also the other person. So there are so many things for us to take away from this session. Thank you all, masters, for this opportunity, and I want to sincerely thank Dr. Joe Dispenza, Dr. Johnson Church, the author of this book, and also Saroja ma'am for this excellent platform. Once again, thank you all. And thank you for all the masters who have joined today. Thank you.